Hello, I'm Andrew Dyer, and welcome to another edition of the Roundball Report, the only show in the area dedicated to highlighting the excellence of the high school, college, and professional basketball teams which play in the Washington metropolitan area. And here with me again is my co-host, the head coach of Capital Christian Academy, Nikki Lewis. Nikki, good to see you. How things been going for the Capital Christian ladies?
Great.
How things been going on the recruiting scene?
Wonderful. Wonderful.
You guys are offering what now?
Scholarships. I have a lot of scholarships, a lot of money left over for next year.
This
you know,
public service announcement is presented to you.
Yes, Capital Christian Academy, I have scholarships. And not just 1%, 2%. I have really good scholarships.
Now, that's to get to high school, but our first two guests, or actually only two guests, are going to be here to talk about what's been going on in the college basketball scene.
Yes.
We have with us our very own Kelsey Nelson and
Welcome.
Brandy Sims of the Sentinel newspapers.
Welcome,
ladies
guys.
and welcome back.
Thank you so
Glad
much.
to be back. And Kelsey, you're a recent graduate of the University of Maryland,
Yes.
and we're talking about the Lady Terps. The Men Terps have hit a bit of a road bump. They still have been able to maintain things at home, but are definitely getting the pitfalls of the Big Ten, what life is like on the Big Ten on the road.
Yeah, I was watching the Iowa game. I remember I was rushing home to go watch the game. I turned on the TV and it was 5-24, and I thought that can't be right. Like I just watched this Maryland team, you know, great game against Penn State, and unfortunately, I guess we all saw the outcome of that game, and they were basically killed that game, 71-56. I think Maryland has hit that roadblock. Melo Trimble was the only person who actually did stuff that game, and he got poked in the eye by Iowa's famous eye poker.
Bloody nose. I mean, what's going on?
Camera.
Yeah.
This is basketball, not boxing.
It was not a mellow day for Melo.
Exactly.
No.
That's a problem when your best player got injured and is still the best player.
But the
during
good
the
thing
game.
about it is he got out of his slump. He's dropped
Right.
20 points because he had not made a basket in the last a couple of Big Ten games.
Right. Even against Penn State, I saw him. He was mostly just assisting. It's like he was almost scared. So it was nice to see him get his confidence back during the Iowa game.
But Brandy, that's got to be rough to put so much pressure on a freshman to have to lead this team through the spoils of the first time ever experience of life on the Big Ten on the road.
Yeah, he's definitely earned his stripes in the Big Ten, Maryland's first Big Ten season. I mean, I'm impressed with the young man. I saw him play in the Capital Classic last year. I mean, back then, I mean, we thought that he would go to Maryland and make an impact, but he's definitely done, made an impact and then some. You know, one of the top contenders not only for the Rookie of the Year, but the Conference Player of the Year. And he's definitely leading that Maryland team as a freshman, and you have to, take your hat off to the young man.
Right, and Kelsey, we mentioned the fact about that Penn State game, and you were at that Penn State game and had a chance to file this report, so check it out.
Live in College Park, Maryland, the Maryland Terrapins are looking to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions. The 17th ranked Maryland Terrapins dropped 2 of their last 3 games. Last week losing embarrassingly 80-56 against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Maryland looks to rebound tonight and get the win to hopefully stay ranked in the top 25. After an embarrassing 80-56 loss last week, this time Maryland was able to top their Big Ten rival Penn State Nittany Lions. John Graham came up huge against his former team, and Maryland came out on top. For the Roundball Report, I'm Kelsey Nelson. Now back to the studios.
And we're back. So Maryland, guys, last night the Iowa game was a little embarrassing for the men's team, a little rough and physical for Melo Trimble, and they have Indiana at home. Kelsey, what are you thinking about that game?
Well, obviously we saw the first game in Indiana did beat us. I think Maryland will bounce back, though, especially after that embarrassing loss away. But I think back in front of the home crowd, the students are back, everyone's energized, and I know Turgeon is getting on them in the locker room after that game. It was embarrassing to watch, and I think finally Des Wells will show up this game. Jake Lehman will come back, and they'll help Mello Trimble to get this win. Yeah,
they definitely owe Indiana some payback.
Because,
they really, they made like 18 threes or something like that. They shot like 70% from the three-point line, and I'm sure that the Maryland team is not expecting that three-point shooting to travel to College Park. Right.
They've definitely struggled on the road of late in the Big Ten, but I think this year they've been able to protect the home court. And I think, with that that loss to Indiana, at Indiana last time, they left a sour taste in their mouth. Once they get back home, they're going to be ready. They're going to have the 12th man behind them, the home crowd, the home support, and I think it'll be a different ball game then.
While the men have hit a little bit of a snag, the University of Maryland women are doing their thing, continuing to be undefeated in the Big Ten. And
it's
Nikki,
been great to
see.
You were at you were at the game over the weekend. We just got a bevy of talent going around here, and had a chance to file this report on the University of Maryland women's game the other day. Who did they play?
They played last night, 19th ranked Nebraska.
They played Nebraska, and Nikki filed this report. Check it out.
Center in College Park, Maryland. We're here to check it all out with number 5th ranked women's Terps team against 19th ranked Nebraska. Don't worry, we're going to catch it all.
I thought we were finally able to get some stops and some rebounds. We were able to break it open when we started finally clicking on all cylinders and getting to the free throw line and kind of having an inside-outside attack with what we were doing. Obviously, Lexi's plays down the stretch were key to be able to break it open with that three and extend the score with what we were doing. But some key contributions, obviously, with Melina and Kiera, and just a hard-fought win. It was a spirited halftime talk, but I don't think that's what did it. I think we locked in and we played harder. I thought we gave greater effort, focus, concentration. We tried to press in the first half and we couldn't remember. Mentally, we were we're not the same team we typically are, and I don't know if that's a fatigue factor, but it's not a reason. We've got to be able to lock in for a better 40 minutes. I think it was more the flow of the game, because they were sagging most of the game with what they were doing. I think, our guards had good shots, good open looks. They just weren't falling. So, I think, I don't think they adjusted. I mean, it was mainly us missing shots, which, again, I thought our legs looked short and heavy. So, being able to get that back.
And I am here at the Xfinity Center with Christy Winter-Scott, University of Maryland's own. Please tell me, how are you feeling today about today's monumentous event?
Well, it's just so special. Coach Weller put in 27 years of her life here, and it was a commitment. At the beginning, it wasn't about the money. It was about the progression of women's basketball and women's sports in general. And it just chokes me up because, she's such a pioneer, and she did it for the sport and the good of the spirit of sport. And with that being said, just to have played for her and have coached with her for 5 years, it's just very special and a tremendous honor for her. Well overdue, I think, because of all that she has meant for the program here at the University of Maryland.
Thank you, Christy. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Great win here at home today for the 5th-ranked Maryland Terps, 59-47 over 19th-ranked Nebraska. It was a lot of excitement here today. Not only was the game dedicated to Team Tyler, Coach Freeze's son, also the raising of the banner for Coach Chris Weller, who is a legendary coach here from 1975 to 2002. Coach Weller was surprised by many alumni, as well as Christy Winter-Scott, Sonia Chase, and many more who played under her and coached under her here at Maryland. So that wraps it up for us. I'm Nikki Lewis for the Roundball Report. Back to you guys at the studio.
Great job, Nikki, and congratulations to Coach Weller, richly deserved. And as we were talking during the air, now we just need Christy to get her banner up there. They put her in the Hall of Fame, but they got to get that number 51 up in the Raptors.
Yes, it is Christy's turn.
But that was in the early 90s where they had the Final Four, and now under the Brenda Freeze era, they've I mean, with the domination of the four-year players, those numbers they're putting up there are tremendous. So you're going to see so many players from the Brenda Freeze era doing things. But this year's team is trying to. They're actually at present they're number 5 in the country, and which sets them up for a 2 seed, the first 2 seed. You know, right now they're doing. You can't do any better than undefeated.
Yeah, and I was going to say that Chris Weller, what she did in Maryland, definitely laid the groundwork with what Brenda Frizz is doing. Was able to follow in her footsteps. Just hats off to what Chris Weller was able to do. Well, you know, with players like Christy Winter-Scott, Vicky Bullock, Tara Heiss, Jazz Perzak, and you know, a slew of players that they had. I mean, Chris Weller took Maryland to some Final Fours and really laid the groundwork. And Brenda Frizz has been able to follow in that footstep and keep building on the Maryland women's basketball legacy.
And this year's team, the only senior that they only have one senior in the rotation. This is scary. Yeah. I don't think people expected them to be this good this soon.
Right. Kind of like what we were talking about. Once Alyssa Thomas left, I think people kind of knocked Maryland out their books. Oh, well, Maryland will just be Maryland. But Lexi Brown, I mean, she's the biggest name right now. She's emerged. Brianna Jones just helps to that. And I mean, I think if you watched the game yesterday, you were in shock. Like, it was a great game, and everyone thought it was going to be a nice, close game. I think Maryland dominated that game. Brenda Freeze has something very happy to be about, and Maryland will continue to build on that, like you said, because we only have one senior, which is the great thing.
Right.
And even though they played a great game yesterday, Coach Freeze said she wants them to play better lockdown defense. She said because the games are going to get tougher from here on out, so she wants them to take advantage of games like this where you know you're going to come out and dominate and just lock down from whistle to whistle from the beginning to the end is what she did say yesterday. She was impressed with her girls.
And Brandy and of course, Nikki, you can appreciate that for a young team to have done as well as they have on the road because they actually have been through the tough part of their Big Ten schedule. They've already played at Nebraska, they played at Rutgers, and now they're getting those teams to come through here. They've got a tough game coming up at Michigan State, but they're poised to try to go through the Big Ten regular season undefeated in their first year as a member of the Big Ten. Yeah,
and I think that you know, the way they play in the ACC really prepared them for what they've been able to do in the Big Ten. You know, playing against teams like North Carolina, Duke. You know, that ACC, you know, national competition that's really been beneficial for the Maryland women.
And it's almost like with them coming to the conference, they're going to have to change the recruiting of the rest of the Big Ten teams. Because if you look at any ACC game, you see teams that look like Maryland. Right. But when you see Maryland playing against Big Ten teams, they look totally different than the other Big Ten teams because they have so many athletes from 1 through 12. Whereas the Big Ten teams out in the Midwest, you can get some of the big time guys to go there. But it seems like the ladies want to stay south. And so Brenda Freeze, because she left the Big Ten before from Minnesota to come to Maryland, and we see the type of players she's been able to recruit at Maryland. So
McDonald's All-Americans. I mean,
yes, and
she has 2 girls this year who made this year's McDonald's All-American team going to Maryland. So she keeps bringing in the McDonald's All-American.
Yes, Coach Yori from the Nebraska team said yesterday that she was going to come to D.C. and recruit.
Brenda's going to lock the door.
D.C. locked down.
But they're just being able to recruit, you know, nationally. You know, getting girls from Ohio and Alyssa Thomas from Pennsylvania.
Exactly.
So they've been able to, you know, expand, I guess, outside the region and get players from other parts of the country.
Well, it's hard to match those facilities, especially because the women play in the same. Because some major teams they have the women play in a smaller gym, but Maryland had the biggest crowd of the season there. They had 10,000 people there yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, so doing great things.
To see.
While the Maryland women have hit their stride, not only have the Maryland men struggled, Georgetown men have struggled as of late. They've lost 2 in a row, and tough time. But the thing about it is, you could accept the loss at Villanova, but to lose at home to Providence and to lose at home to Xavier, that's been the challenge, Kelsey and Brandy, and this is that part of the season where you've got to fight through because conference schedule, and that doesn't matter who you play, you got to come out and bring it every night.
Seems like they're Dr. Jekyll.
Yes.
You know, one night they're on top, the next night, you know, they're on the bottom.
Right. But that's another sign of a team that's dependent upon 4 freshmen, where you don't have that consistency, where you expect them to have better nights at home than on the road, and they may be hitting that wall because you're playing so many. You're not used to playing 3 or 4 times a week.
Right.
In high school basketball, but you know, hopefully the Hoyas can get it turned around. They've played a very impressive pre-conference schedule, so hopefully they can get things turned around, and we'll have a lot of NCAA tournament teams. We got Maryland men, Virginia,
George Washington. Joe McDowell had a huge shot,
and hopefully
the one at the buzzer to beat Dayton.
And hopefully
George Washington women.
And Georgetown and
John
George
Jones, Lauren Chase, doing very well. 24.
Kelly Prangy from Damascus High School.
Yes.
Where did Jonquil go?
Riverdale.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for our college scene. We're going to turn the page to pro basketball and present you with a feature on a recent Wizards game and recap the week that was for the Wizards and the rest of the NBA with Kelsey Nelson and Brandy Sims. So stay with us.